So from yesterday's video, the three lines that I asked viewers to draw were this orange line up here, this line here, and this line here, and these are all the three lines that have come into play with Bitcoin. However, at this bottom here, though, bottom line, there is a chance for a bounce here on the 1 hour chart, and my VIPs in Discord were just showing me another reason for potential bounce, but I'm not going to use other people's ideas. But this 1 hour, three strikes of bullish divergence could end up giving a little bit of oomph to Bitcoin, and enough so that it could break a rule, a channel rule, and this is a macro channel rule. So price is going to be slightly more unpredictable, I feel, from today leading into tomorrow's market open, and perhaps even till noon on the 13th. So let's dive into this charts. Let me draw some magic squiggly lines to show you how price might behave in an if-then scenario, and I'll try to also identify exact key points for you that you would draw on your chart and say, if price above, then bullish, if price below, then bearish, or if price here, then either way, don't trade. So let's dive into these charts. At the end of this, if I remember to do it, I will try to let you all know a little futures trading tip, and something that I've been concentrating on a personal basis recently, and just a mental strategy to help me become more profitable outside of studying charts. I'll try to do that at the end here. Okay. Breaking rules. Bitcoin has, actually, it might be easier if I zoom out. This is the entire channel. This channel goes back to the 69K top. Almost 100% of Bitcoin price action since the 69K top has been in this channel. Bitcoin has, so I'm going to zoom into current price, top of the channel, bottom of the channel, point of control is this orange and black. So it's come back to the middle, which is expected. Most of the play in a channel should be close to the point of control, but there's something interesting happening here. Typically, when you go below any channel line, so not going up to it. So this is, if price were down here and raced up to this line and got rejected like this, price does not need to come back down to the next channel line before you bounce through. So coming up to get rejected is not the same thing. That's the polar opposite. Well, it's the inverse. If price goes below a channel line and then gets rejected by it, the channel rules are you have to go down the next line before you can get a bounce, before you even can attempt. And this is a macro channel that dates back, since the 69K top, November 2021. So the rules, have a strong chance of applying as channel rules. But if you zoom in here and look at something else, it's going to be so there's something else giving a completely different story. And this is why I'm thinking price, for me at least, I don't think it's going to be highly predictable. What did I just do? I made that go away somehow. All right. Low, higher low, higher low. This is the RSI 1 hour. I'm on the 1 hour chart. Okay, so dropping, lowest low, higher low, right? 1 hour. See what that does on price. And this is a neat way to visualize bullish divergence. Low, lower low, lower low. But on RSI, this was the lowest low, and this created a higher low on RSI, and this created a higher low on RSI. And I'm telling you, the way bullish divergence works is on local, especially local bottoms. So this could be in a bear market, bull market, but on local bottoms, when you get three strikes of bullish divergence, typically the largest time frame that you'll ever see three strikes is usually the 4 hour. If you see three strikes of bullish divergence, just like I showed you on the 1 hour chart, but on the 4 hour, that means a pretty major move is coming, oftentimes. And I think there's only once, there might have been twice, but I think there's only one time in Bitcoin history where a bottom got three strikes of daily bullish divergence. So usually bullish divergence, and so the point of what I'm saying here is to appreciate the potential power of the 1 hour chart, right? Because in Bitcoin's history, most, or in the situations where you have 3 strikes of bullish divergence at a bottom, which isn't all bottoms. So I'm not counting all bottoms in Bitcoin history. Not all of them satisfy those parameters. But when you do have 3 strikes, which is very common, the largest time frame you'll see is the daily. I think there's only one time. 4 hour is rare as well, but 1 hour often gets really big moves. Because a lot of them, like the highest time frame is the 1 or 2 hour chart where you got 3 strikes, but on the 4 hour it only had 2 strikes, and so it didn't quite get the 4 hour. Does that make sense? The 1 hour chart is not quite, it's not nearly as powerful as, it's a moderately powerful chart, but the 3 strikes of bullish divergence, I feel for the time frame, it gets a little bit more power, and it's hitting exactly that line. So let me zoom in even more. It's hitting that line that I said in my yesterday's YouTube video that everybody's looking at it. So this is the same line that I drew. And because everybody's looking at it, and you got that bullish divergence, and people look at that, it could be a self-fulfilling prophecy that, Bitcoin does not come to touch this line first. Because everybody's looking at this line, and a lot of people trade hard off of 3 strikes of bullish divergence. Especially the 1 hour. It's a really good play. The last time I tried it was very, very profitable. I guess I can go back and show you where that was. No, it's not the last time, but the last time I talked about it on camera was... I don't think I'm going to be able to go back. Yeah, I will. Bam. All right, so I'm going back to the bull run. And I can probably it was this one right here. I think it was this guy. I think it had 3 strikes perfectly. Let me zoom in. Yeah, this was a perfect, that's exactly it. Look. 1, 2, 3. So this is the 1 hour chart. 1, 2, 3. And it was a big, big move. It actually got the reversal back, right? So going from a daily downtrend, technically, back up. So it's a pretty good signal. I'm surprised I actually remembered exactly where that was, but I took a very large trade there and I remember it. So this can work out pretty well. And again, and don't confuse this. I'm not giving you an alert signal. I'm not taking it. I think, and so I started off by saying this is going to be a little unpredictable. So there are 2 things that are pretty powerful rule-wise that are completely conflicting. And there are 2 things that I use heavily. I use RSI heavily and I use channel lines heavily, and they're in disagreement now. Therefore, for me, that's an environment that's like going to a casino that is rigged against you and has worse odds of winning. Why would you go to that casino, right? If you're gambling, well, you would go to a fair casino with like the odds as is mathematically. As each game should have exact odds, right? For the most part. And therefore, if I were to take that trade, even though one of my 2 things are telling me that would be me going, like, I'm setting myself up to have worse odds. So I'm not going to do that. Does that make sense? So I don't want to, hopefully I didn't say anything that would stimulate anybody to like go hit market buy on 100x. Don't do that. But I can see that the example I showed, and I said I took a big trade, and it's the same thing. I can see how somebody might do that, so please, I was not trying to create a call to action by any means. However, it is the same situation. I will say that, but personally, I'm not going to take it for the reason stated. And that's what has me conflicted. Now, what else can I say about Bitcoin price is traditional markets. So what I'm about to say is going to agree with the idea that things are, I feel, unpredictable right here. Traditional markets have core CPI data coming out on tomorrow, the 13th at 8:30 a.m. New York. It's expected to be pretty bad. Bad news regardless. And so bad news meaning it will be news that creates incentive or doesn't take away incentive of the Fed to raise rates more, right? So it's news that won't make the Fed ease up, right? And so that would make the stock market be bearish. So with that, this move, so if I go to traditional markets here, it's possible, I like SPX a little bit better actually. It's possible that this, moved down from here to here. So today and yesterday, it's possible that that is baking in the effects of that, and price might actually move sideways and float up until the worst news comes out with earnings reports of retail and like major companies at the end of July. So there's bad news coming out that's probably gonna, be bearish for the stock market, which is bad for Bitcoin. And you would think, okay, it's safe to be, bearish. Things are going to continue going down. However, it's possible within that context that it's very likely going to be bearish. Let's say it does come out bearish. It's possible that this just baked that in already, right? And now the next economic high impact event is going to be late July. So therefore, things can just, kind of get floaty and flighty. Does that make sense? And in the end, things are unpredictable. That leads to a heightened chance of sideways price action. Sideways within a range. So that could be, a fairly big range where you can long and short within it, from day to day or whatever. So it doesn't mean it's so minuscule of price action that you can't trade it. It could have some volatility with it, but it's still sideways in the context. Actually, let me go to Bitcoin, make myself small. Until the end of the month, what could happen is, do I have a micro channel? No, just kind of looking at this. If you call this a channel, it's possible that Bitcoin might move sideways. Like maybe not go over maybe play with the point of control, go like this, go here. And that's about the end of, that would be about the end of July, where that economic news comes out, the July 31st right here. And so let's say if this was a actual range that I had going something like this, it's possible that it comes up to play with the point of control of this. Let me take off my macro channel. That would probably help. Macro channel off. All right. Felt like a Power Ranger. All right. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. All right. But channel off. Here we go. And it's possible that it does something to this effect and waits to go down. Therefore, so connecting those two ideas, there are multiple reasons to think that things are going to be slightly unpredictable and it's a worse casino to play in. And that heightens the chance of sideways movement. And so that would still be tradable. Look at the moves here. That's probably 10% or something. 13%. So that could be a 13% rise from here, which is, for altcoins, it could be pretty big, especially ones that have been fairly bullish, like Matic. Matic's been doing pretty well. Like Matic would probably have a pretty big move off that, even though I shorted Matic very nicely today. But I would be fearful. I took profits because now I think it's possible things could bounce up. Am I making sense here? So I think that when will analysis and educated guesses and trying to pick what's the most probable price path, when will that become a little clearer? I think at the closure of tomorrow, July 13th. That daily close on traditional markets, and perhaps even around 8 p.m. at night tomorrow, New York time, 8 p.m. New York time, or midnight London, 1 a.m. Berlin, that would be markets close and Bitcoin closes. And at that time, I think the path would be a little bit clearer. But particularly with traditional markets closing tomorrow around 4:30 or something, New York time, I think things will be clearer. And a follow-up TA to what's about to happen, I think I would have slightly better, I would be able to guess a little bit better. But right now, I really think it could go either way, and I took my profits on all but one small position personally, and because I'm fearful that it could go back up. Not fearful, but I think it's a strong possibility, but I don't know. So I am probably sitting tight for a bit. And the reason why this is valuable to identify, okay, so change of thought. This is very important. The reason why I go into detail when I don't know what's about ready to happen is because I cannot stress enough. Like, listen to what I'm about to say. The way I lose the most money when on my journey from 5K to 100K, which I'm actually back to like 21K now. The Grim Reaper should come back soon. But anyway, the number one way that I've lost money, even more than just breaking rules and being stupid, which is almost half, but even more than that, is not identifying when I don't have a good edge. I would already be at like 40K in my journey had I selected impossibly, right? You can't do it exactly, but if I knew at the exact moment that the odds get worse, had I quit trading when it starts getting choppy, I would be way higher up in my journey than I am now. It's probably, I think it's the number one way I've had losses. throughout this journey that I've been documenting on Twitter and YouTube and all that stuff. So with that, actually, we can go to that and let's check out how I've been doing here. All right. So positions open. I had multiple positions today, and I let go of all of them but one. I didn't have a rhyme or reason. It's just because the one that had the smallest amount of profit, and I just didn't think it would go up, even if Bitcoin bounced. Chainlink, I don't think it's going to do much. So I decided to leave it open, and it's a good idea because it's been going down since. But so this is a short. My closed positions from today. So my closed positions today start here. Okay, those three. So the 12th, the 12th, the 12th, and this starts the 11th. Right. Clearly had a pretty rough day on the 10th. I tried longing F, breaking rules. So these two are actually breaking rules. So these losses were not from identifying choppiness. It's just me being stupid, literally breaking a rule. But you could see that was a rough 2 days. So the 8th, I tried longing F, didn't work, and then 2 days. So I took a day off. It looks like, and then 2 days later, I tried again. And it even kicked my ass even harder. That was rough. But anyway, I've had a nice roll, and if I scroll down a little bit, it goes in. You can see how I get in tune and out of tune with the market. See, wave of green. That's big wave of green. That's good. Small. So those are pretty big losses though. But there's a lot of green there too. 742, 3, 500, all that stuff. So that was kind of back and forth. Inching up. So that's my first page. So that goes back to the 2nd of this month. So this is like what real trading, looks like. If you're a human, if you're a bot, like this would be like, I don't know, 2 minutes of trading. And so if I go up to assets, I'm back at 21.1. So I think the last door that the Grim Reaper took out was 22K on Twitter. So I'm pretty close. It took me 2 weeks to climb back, but I made a higher low in my account essentially. All right. Therefore, here we go. I don't know what the hell is getting ready to happen on Bitcoin. It can easily go down, and if it goes down, it's going to hit the bottom of the channel, which is right here. I'll give you I'll try to give you a rough figure here, and then I'll start answering some questions. So start thinking about what you're going to ask me. What am I looking for? This okay. So it would be somewhere around 8. So it would be this horizontal. So this makes perfect sense, actually. Yeah, right there, like a double low there. I could see it coming down to 18.5. 18.5. Okay. That would be if it starts breaking down from the line I asked you to draw yesterday, right? And so really yesterday I said, I think it's going to be all about this line, right? And this line, it really is. And these are the lines I asked you to draw yesterday. And if you want to go back to that video, you probably should, because I show you how to do it. I think these lines, you're going to be able to see in the changing probabilities of how price on the small candles interact with it. So right now you can't tell. It's at the bottom one. It looks like it's bouncing, but you haven't seen it interact with this, and you haven't seen price interact with this. So it's still unknown. Like I need to see the information, right, of the candles. I don't. So I have this information, yes, but I need the information from when price interacts with this, and I need the information from when price interacts with that in order to have a good grasp of better odds. And I'm going to a rigged casino if I try it now. And these 3 lines are key for pivoting with your stance. And so if price goes below this and you use it as resistance, I would probably get bearish pretty fast. But if price comes above here, I'm not going to get bullish right away because it could just do a failure rejection pattern and then come down. But what would be decisive quickly is the bearish sense. So what would be the most decisive things when things become very probable is if it goes below, uses this as resistance, then breaks the first low it made as it came below right there. So at this moment here, when it goes below that point. So rejection, failure, break below the original low, boom. At that moment, as it breaks below here, right there, that would instantly make me pretty bearish. But going up though, I won't be able to instantly become bullish, which honestly, if you think about it, is pretty good because things are down right now. Right. And if you want, I can, before I answer questions, I might take one quick moment for anybody who doesn't want to do the effort, put in the effort to go back to the previous video to draw these lines. Here are the 3 lines. And again, you don't have to worry about it making how did one of my lines disappear again? You don't have to worry about making it a sexy channel or anything like mine is, but I'm missing a channel line. Wow. There we go. Don't worry about making it look like a channel. I'm just going to give you 3 lines here, and then I'll answer questions. Go back. I would start with, I mean, the 1 hour chart is probably fine. You can be on the 1 hour chart, and you want to maximize your screen until this year's low. So that happened on middle of June. June 18th was this year's low of Bitcoin price when it crashed down to 17.5 or whatever. You want that on the left side of the screen on the 1 hour chart, expand it, and you essentially connect lows to the more recent lows in late June. So June 18th to late June lows, but you want to make it a range, because it's not really one line. It's a range, right? And as you can see, this range has been exactly what price has been bouncing around. Like, it's real. It's really there. So I'm on the 1 hour chart, and I'm on Bitstamp. If you want to do it on the exact same exchange, I'm on Bitstamp. But most, if you use Coinbase chart or whatever, it should be pretty similar. And so you can see how this ultimate low doesn't 100% perfectly connect to that low, right? I made it a parallel lines. And so that's how you would do that. And then this line here, if you don't want to make it a full channel, I would connect the wick high of June 15th to to the wick high of July 5th. Yeah, those would work. June 15th wick high to July 5th wick high, and just run a line, and extend it, and that will be the top channel line. And then you'll have each of these 3 lines the same. All right, and now we're off to answer some questions.